is asking Melburnians to keep an eye out for fossils, including rocks, bones and animal teeth, after one of its storage facilities was flooded at the weekend. Many of its items ended up floating away.
So it started for us when Cypher sent an article in featuring Sammy J, this DJ, and he'd basically said...
I was off to do a gig. I got off at the train station. I'm walking across Sydney Road in Coburg. I see this flood, and normally water's like going into a building during a flood, but it was gushing out of the building. And then I looked down and see what looked like a dinosaur bone floating past me. And because I quite like dinosaurs as much as the next man, I picked it up. And there's a little label that says Museums Victoria. And so I started following all these other bits that were floating out, and I chased them like 2 blocks with a little plastic bag, like Mr. Bean on acid. It was weird. I was just like, and I'm stuffing all these things in a bag, and now I'm apparently a hero.
Wow. Show us your fossils. You've brought some in.
Yeah. So I got little jars like this, and I got this, this little, and this is the biggie. This was the little dinosaur face. It was just like bobbing past me.
What?
Hang on, so hang on. Don't you have to give them back?
Well, yeah, but then you asked me on the show, so I kept them, and now this is like more media attention than I've had my whole career. This is my big break. They're not getting it back. They're asking everyone, rightly so, if they find stuff to return it, and they're saying that they have no financial value, although just quietly, if I'd lost something really valuable, I'd probably say that as well, too. No, bring them back. I'll bring them back tomorrow, I promise.
Yeah, you better.
Now, what was interesting is this place is on the top of a hill in Coburg, so there was no flood. There's not going to have a flood. So what had happened was they have this huge fire suppression system in the storage area, one of many storage areas they have in for the museum. And the fire suppression system had accidentally burst a pipe, and everything that was in the museum started washing down from the highest point to the lowest point. The lowest point was either Darabin Creek or Moonee Ponds Creek, and it would have had to go through several drains. And so when we found out about it, which would have been on Monday evening, we were checking it out and we were looking on the maps and going, oh, you know, that would have gone through Avenue Drain and that would have gone through Clantomb. And Senile happened to be getting off work at the time, so he said, oh, you know, I'll go and have a look.
I initially concentrated on the Avenue Drain. Found one near the outfall, and then I went maybe a third of the way up it, looking for some more, but I didn't end up finding any more in that one. So I headed back. That drain was really small too, only about a bit over 1 metre high.
And he'd actually found something, and we posted it to one of the other chats, and I think it was Warp said, yeah, no, that's it, because one of Warp's mates works for the museum. So we went, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll organise on Wednesday, which was the next day we all had off, to go there and actually have a proper search of those drains. So on Wednesday evening, we all rocked up to Coburg Station, and Sir had a lifter on him, and he went to the nearest gutter box near the museum, and at the time it was all soaking wet. They had opened up the garages so that they could dry it out. There were security guards out the front. But Sir had gone and lifted the gutter box, and there was all these items inside, all their specimens, bits of bones, and so he called the security guard over, I think, and all the museum staff came out, and they were really happy. So I've got some photos of Sir and myself, and I think Sov might be there as well, and that's the museum staff when we found the first of the items. And we told them, look, we're from the Cape Land, and we are going to go and now search the drains and see if we can find any more of your items. So we went off, and we went, that night, we went along Avenue Drain. So Sov and Cunt went through there, and it's a little tiny drain. This wouldn't have been about 3 or 4 foot, red brick, hideous. And Senile and Lenore, they went through Clantomb.
And then I had some more extensive search with Lenore, looking in the Moonee Ponds Creek aqueduct. We found a few, maybe 4, I think. And then Lenore had to head off. I headed up Clantomb, or the Melville Creek drain, and found another few in that drain to add to everyone's haul. Yeah, it was pretty rewarding. It was good.
And they found some as well. So it was really interesting because it was on the top. The flood was so big, it went into 2 river valleys. And we had also another group, I think it was Cypher and Sir and myself and Crit, all went along the river, and we checked out the river, and we found that a whole heap of, in Darebin Creek, we found a whole heap of stuff had washed out of the drains and straight into the creek, and it was all caught up among the branches and everything. So we got a whole heap of stuff from there, and we organised, like on the weekend, we'll really look at the creek. So everyone turned up, and we said bring inflatables. So everyone brought the most embarrassing inflatables. So I've got a photo I think I've sent you with blow up flamingos and all these embarrassing things. And we went all the way through the creek, and we got a whole heap of stuff that came out, and which was, a lot of it was soil samples. We didn't find any more of the bones. I think they were plaster casts, because that's apparently how fossils get preserved. But they would have all been washed away, and they would have been hard to see because the casts are black, so they look like twigs and stuff. So it would have been really difficult to actually see them in the water.
Hey, my name's Cunt. First day was at was the Avenue Drain. Met up with a few other people that were doing the Black Ops recovery. Myself, Sov, and Alien, we decided to go up the Avenue Drain that we saw that connected to the creek, skateboards and knee pads in hands. It was all right for about 10 meters, but then it just turned into 1.3 meter RCP crawling hell for all up. I think it was about 800 meters. So as we started, Alien's board was being a little bit difficult, so she turned back, and I continued on with Sol, trying to scoot on my skateboard, but that was giving me grief. So Sol's the absolute gentleman that he is, decided to swap me his knee pads, which was so much easier, so thank you very much for that. Anyway, we crawled for a couple more hours, searching, looking for vials and fossils, and we got to maybe about a block or two away from where the facility would have been before we found a manhole, and were able to coordinate with surface crew to help get us out. In the end, Sov did find a fossil bone, but unfortunately no other luck with any other discoveries in the Avenue Drain that day. The next mission was the creek float. I got my trusty faithful flamingo, hard hat and safety gear is a must as well. And together with a few others, we all got our inflatables and decided to float down the creek in search for more relics. All of us down in the creek, actually, we all found a violete stuck in the bank's branches or floating somewhere caught in the banks, which makes me wonder what we might have missed. But in the end of the day, with everything that we did find from all of us, it was definitely a job well done. It was really fun, and I'm thankful that I was a part of it.
Brace for impact.
Crash.
No, that's what I call ducking.
Stick. And that's what we call ducking. Where's the noodles gone? Oh! And I will always love noodles.
Do a zoom on the noodle packet.
Yeah, I'll always love noodles. Hey, Chef. Yeah, I'm new now, yep. So how much do you love noodles? Hey, what's up? We'd find a creek at the Drain.
Hi, I'm Crit. I took part in the Melbourne Museum Black Ops recovery today. Be fun, go for a bit of a wander through the drain, see what we can find. The first night, or the first evening or afternoon, we waded down the creek and found probably 15 or 20 of those vials. They all seem to be caught in log jams along the way on Merry Creek. I even went and had a look around at the litter trap. Last bit I went to was back on the Saturday again. Just met up with everyone. We found maybe a handful more of those little vials, just kind of as we walked down the creek. Anyway, that was fun, and hey, got a t-shirt out of it. Good to actually do something positive with what we do for once.
Hi, I'm Sir. I think it was the day after our first mission to recover artefacts. Rain was on the way, so I ducked out Lake Arvo, took the pushy on a ride up the canal, which is down the hill from my place at Flemington. Knowing Mooney Ponds Creek pretty well, I reckoned anything going downstream would be trapped in a few pits or in the wetlands downstream on the way to the Yarra. Well, no luck at all. At Clantoom, I was doing a Yui, and something that didn't fit the normal drain rubble pattern caught my eye. Looked like a small rotten piece of wood from a distance. I retrieved it. Definitely a match with some of the items retrieved from the gutter box near the storage facility. A cast of a Camptosaurus bone, I'm told, was 100 years old. I was happy to add it to the haul for the handover at the museum. Well, actually, it would have been pretty cool on the mantelpiece with the Clanny's trophies and drain memorabilia.
So after that, we organised with the Melbourne Museum to do a handover. At first they were going to do it in the museum, but then they decided to do it in the loading bay around the back because we were so embarrassed. We were so embarrassing to them. But that's all right. And they gave us a whole heap of museum tickets. So we got about 33 museum tickets to see Antopia. So that was great. A whole heap of us went off to see museum, and we all saw the ant exhibition. And yeah, so that was our the big Black Ops operation.
The Cave Clan isn't really a clan, and they don't really explore caves. You might expect that people who are passionate about underground drains have little time for observing societal norms. But within the Cave Clan's ranks, you'll find a strong sense of social cohesion. Upright citizens who just happen to prefer life on the down low. Similar to how Pete Hegseth once texted The Atlantic's Jeffrey Goldberg, the Pentagon's war plans, a while back Doug invited me to the Cave Clan group chat, and since then I've just stuck around. I might occasionally go to their events, but mostly I enjoy the drain-related shitposting. I think it was November 2024 when news broke that one of Museums Victoria's storage facilities in Brunswick had flooded, washing part of their fossil collection, including dinosaur bones, into Melbourne stormwater drains. I watched two narratives unfold. The official news channels carried the story of ABC radio host Sammy J, who had witnessed the floods and saved a handful of fossils, while in the group chat, members of the Cave Clan joined the hunt, entering stormwater drains for the unaccounted for antiquities. After a couple of days, the clan handed over to the museum the lion's share of what had been lost in the floods. But the museum was unwilling to publicly acknowledge their efforts due to the clandestine nature of the Cave Clan. I didn't think that was right, so I pitched the story to a UK newspaper that I occasionally write for. It's a good story, and the kind that doesn't get told enough about the Cave Clan.
One of the things that I liked most about it was that it's become a bit legendary now. Also, everyone who was involved with us on that day, like, you know, you hear about, oh, there's a lot of members, etc., but very few people that turned out except us, really. So I was just happy with the way it worked out. And we've all stayed close since then, so it's been great.
Immediately, like knee-high levels inside the basement.
Yeah, well, the museum has said that they're not worth anything, but I mean, you know, if I'd lost something highly valuable and I wanted someone to return them, I'd probably say the same thing.